Well, this was an interesting one. I don't think this is a video that only applies to Indian motorcycle fans, but I actually think that if you're in the Harley-Davidson camp, you should be paying very much attention. Mike Kennedy today, who is the newly named CEO of Indian Motorcycles, they were bought out by private equity. This is going back a few months ago, but this announcement just got formalized. The actual transaction just went through. And Mike Kennedy just made himself available for incredibly difficult questions. And my takeaway from this whole back and forth was this is a super authentic motorcycle, people first person. And Indian Motorcycles has, in my opinion, a really bright future ahead of it. For you guys just to listen to how Mike Kennedy explained himself, the company, this is better to just let it ride. Not sure if I'm supposed to be doing this in terms of how these press conferences work, but again, I think this is just an incredible conversation. Now, I did cut it down for time because that conversation went on for over an hour, and I don't expect anybody to sit down and watch an hour-long YouTube video, but I did cut it down to kind of what I consider to be the meat and potatoes. So pay attention to everybody else's outlooks out there because I'm sure other media outlets will have different takeaways, maybe some not as rosy as mine. I don't know, but I'm just here to share with you guys my perception.
Quick background on me. Been in the motorcycle business since 1989, which is a fair amount of time ago. And the pleasure of spending almost 26 years at Harley-Davidson in a variety of roles. I ran Harley's UK subsidiary out of Oxford, England for a period of time. My last role at Harley when I left was Vice President, Managing Director of the Americas. My next role took me to Vance & Hines, which was really fascinating for me because you think you know the motorcycle business and then you do a change and you look at the motorcycle business through the lens of an aftermarket company. The last role before I joined Carolwood was with Rumble On, or now called Ride Now, which is the largest power sports / motorcycle dealership network in America. I probably worked with some of the best retail talent in the industry. I think it's fascinating if you think about those 35 years and then having the chance to get a phone call from Carolwood. And you got to give credit to Carolwood if you like the fact that an industry veteran is running the new Indian motorcycle company. Don't thank me, thank the team from Carolwood. Why am I excited to be here? I think having competed against Indian Motorcycle Company in two of my previous roles, being a dealer for them in my previous role, I've been able to see what they've been able to accomplish over the last 10 years, and what they've accomplished is incredible. I mean, you think about the product line that we're inheriting today. It's a compliant, very competent product line. You think about the dealer network that we have today, 600 dealers across the globe. That in itself is an incredible asset that we have. The U.S. Manufacturing footprint that we are inherited. It is as good of a manufacturing assembly plant that you will see. I've been in a lot of motorcycle plants in my career, and it's got the right balance with technology and automation, but also great human talent and exactly what we need for this brand. We don't think there's a reason why we cannot be the number one market share leader in cruisers, both middle and heavyweight, baggers, touring, and we expect to enter the trike market very soon. We're going to make investments in this brand. We're going to lean into this brand in terms of our product DNA, in our marketing, and in our rider engagements. Our product, this at the end of the day, this is a product business, right? And if we bring products to market that excite riders, that give dealers confidence, then we will win in the marketplace. But we're going to lean into U.S. manufacturing in a very significant way. We are not conveying the Vietnam facility. We'll be winding down production in Apollo, Poland through model year 26. And then we will do all of our global manufacturing from Spirit Lake, Iowa. And we also are conveying a facility in Monticello, Minnesota, which is kind of a little bit north and west of Minneapolis. And that is our aluminum casting and milling facility, which is really where the engine gets birthed. Listen, saying that there's a ton of work to do, I do believe that our riders globally expect that from America's first motorcycle company. And I know we can do it. So I'm excited about that. And then the last key strategy for us is dealers. Number one, we're not retailers. The obvious point here, we're not going to become retailers. Okay. So we need dealers to deliver the product and take care of their customers locally. But maybe even more important than that, I realize the value the business gets when they have a dealer network that's built on trust through transparency. So I'll turn it over to Mark to run some Q&A.
Considering the history of Indian motorcycles, dirt and board track, are we ever bringing back the FTR? Are you guys ever going to make a mid-sized 750 FTR rally bike? Please and thank you. That's it.
We're going to lean into our heritage. We're going to lean into our product DNA. People ask me all the time, "Hey, FTR, you're going to bring it back? You're going to do a low-end cruiser bike?" And my answer to that is, so a couple words I hate to use in business. I don't like using always, and I don't like using never, because you just never know, right? And new information, I withhold the opportunity to change my mind. But our immediate focus is going to be on middle and heavyweight cruisers, baggers, touring, and soon to be trike. And why is that? Why is that? Because the opportunity in those global segments is real. Unfortunately, an FTR or a low-end cruiser in today's context of our company would be a distraction and would take away from our ability to really focus on those middle and heavyweight cruisers and baggers and touring and soon to be trikes. So our focus again is look at the opportunity we have in those segments and focus in on that middle heavyweight, bagger, touring, and trike.
What's coming for the UK and Europe?
I don't want people to misinterpret our focus on U.S. manufacturing, that we're not going to be focused commercially outside of the United States. Part of this is to simplify our manufacturing footprint so we pick up some efficiency within the company, which helps to kind of turn the company around financially. But our efforts commercially in Europe is going to only be intensified, in my opinion.
The comments that I see quite a bit are, here comes private equity, they're going to strip it for parts, and there goes India Motorcycles. I guess just the question in general is, as the new leader of the organization, how would you respond to those kinds of super blunt critiques?
I actually appreciate you bringing that up. That's definitely a common question that comes up. It came up early on when the deal got announced. First off, I think it's important you understand where I come from on this subject. I've had some dealings with private equity in my past during my career. Okay, and I just state it this way: I don't accept the categorically statement that private equity is bad. I just don't accept it. That's just where I come from, right? In fact, I could give you some examples, and maybe you could share them with your listeners and viewers of, I think, really good examples of private equity, right? I mean, one example, there's probably hundreds. One that I'm familiar with is Fender Guitar, owned by private equity, done quite well, I believe. Now, for hardcore power sports people, we might say, "Yeah, that's not power sports, Mike. That's consumer, whatever, blah blah blah." So we're going to dismiss that. Okay. So I'll give you another example. I think Bain Capital, which is private equity, owned BRP for almost a majority owner of BRP for a period of at least 10 or 11 years. I worked at BRP for a short period of time when Bain Capital was majority owner there. And I think by most standards, BRP has been a successful company over the last 15 or so years. I can tell you that if Carolwood wanted to split this company up and sell it for pieces, they wouldn't hire Mike Kennedy. Number one, I don't know how to do that. I've never done it before. I wouldn't even know where to begin. I know how to run a motorcycle company. I know how to get teams excited about designing products. I know how to run manufacturing. I know how to work the marketing team to create exciting campaigns and get people excited about the brand. I don't know how to split up companies and sell them for pieces. So, at the end of the day, time will tell, right? And we have a lot to execute in front of us. But I just don't come from the standpoint that all private equity is bad.
Are there any plans to bring in bikes around the $5,000 to $6,000 USD mark to compete?
Are we working on a $5,000, $6,000 motorcycle? The answer is no. And the reason why the answer is no is we see significant upside for our company in the middle and heavyweight cruiser segments, baggers, and touring. Are we working on electric motorcycles? And the answer is no.
Why did they close the plant in Wisconsin, completely costing hundreds of jobs? I was seriously considering getting one this spring until I saw that.
I'm glad that person raised the question, because it's an opportunity to kind of make sure we're all on the same page, right? First off, engine production has not stopped in Osceola as of this morning. Okay, so we're making engines in Osceola like we were 2 months ago and 10 years ago. So just want to make sure we clear the air there. Osceola was never part of the deal in terms of buying Indian Motorcycle Company. That facility assembles our engines, and then those engines are transported down to Spirit Lake, where they're put into the chassis of the motorcycle. So part of our simplification, so we had to make a decision, right? Because that facility is a Polaris owned facility. It's not offered to us. So we had to make a decision, and the decision that we wanted to make was to move that assembly line and hopefully team down to Spirit Lake, Iowa. Again, we have the room in Spirit Lake, Iowa. That makes it even more efficient. I'm not now moving engines from Osceola, Wisconsin down to Spirit Lake, Iowa. Helps that out tremendously, gets it all under one roof. We'll be offering the impacted employees in Osceola jobs to come to Spirit Lake, because we're going to be hiring people down there. And we're working through that process. But we'll continue to make, please, whoever's thinking about buying a motorcycle, please buy a motorcycle, because the engines are still coming out of Osceola. No change until, 6 months or so, something like that. So it's a timeline the team has laid out to transfer that down to Spirit Lake, Iowa, with no disruption to our production continuity.
I think important in all that is a Polaris-owned facility. That was not something on the table in terms of something to acquire in the deal.
Personal opinion, I don't give a shit about what anybody else says. I think that the Ride Command is one of the best interfaces on a motorcycle, not just from like a user like me who's used to running tech and bikes, but for everybody being able to just push buttons and get what you want. Is there a plan to bring that forward, or are we going to be like from the ground up?
I think on the tech side and Ride Command, I'm glad to hear you say that, by the way. Technology space and phone interface is, it's an interesting space that's changed dramatically over the last 5 to 7 years. And so figuring out how that changes going forward and how we partner with the right company to make sure we got great product. Because listen, phone interface is really important, especially on baggers and touring motorcycles, right? And if it doesn't work, you just want to burn the motorcycle or burn the F-150. I know my F-150 doesn't work with my phone. I just want to lose my mind. So it has to work first and foremost. And it better add value to the ride, or we have no business having it on the bike to begin with. The reason why I gave you my background is not because I want to make this about me, but know that an avid motorcycle rider is running this company. And so if stuff doesn't work on our bikes, we're going to listen to customer satisfaction. We're going to talk to our dealers. We're going to learn about it from guys like you. But my team will know about it, and our hair is going to be on fire if it isn't working right.
What will the dealers and owners notice that's different, perhaps in the next 90 days? What changes first and what stays the same?
A lot stays the same, right? I mean, there's so much good about this brand and this company, and we're building high quality motorcycles, and we're taking care of dealers, and dealers are doing their job locally. So we're not looking at any seismic shift. I think one thing, Vicki, that is not fully appreciated, when you talk about Polaris, right? Previous company is a multi-diversified product company. It's 10,000 employees, $10 billion of revenue. It's a great company. Now you've got a new company. We've got 900 people. We are singularly focused on motorcycles. And I think people don't quite understand what the evolution we're going to experience when we wake up every day and we're focused on our 600 dealers and our riders who ride motorcycles. We expect to be a more agile organization, so we expect to react quicker than our past in terms of market issues and market challenges. Certainly, we want to continue to do a great job in Polaris' footsteps in terms of taking care of the rider. I've talked to a lot of dealers, and the dealers I actually surveyed the dealers and say, hey, what should we stop doing? What should we start doing? And what should we continue doing? And one of the things at the top of the list and to continue is, continue to take care of the rider when there is an issue. And that is my commitment. That is absolutely our commitment. We want to make sure we take care of the rider if there's any issues.
You talk about growth and you talk about your focus on cruisers and middleweights and heavyweights, and that you guys aren't going to build a small bike, not going to build electric. How does that jive with current market conditions and economic factors where the economy is not doing so hot and riders aren't spending $20,000 to $50,000 on a bike, but you see other manufacturers in the space leaning into those small displacement bikes and having that astronomical growth? How do you grow as Indian if you're focusing just on the stuff that you talk about? Are you just going after Harley Davidson Conquest?
2025 U.S. marketplace on highway motorcycles down 6.5%. Indian's market share grew. It grew in touring. It grew in cruisers. There's a ton of market share left to be gained, right? And so when I analyze the market, it is not a factual statement to say that only the $6,000 bikes are the ones selling. That just isn't true. And again, we have a bike that sells for under $10,000, which is a very accessible bike. I think we're an aspirational brand. And one of the things that the Carolwood team is really excited about is on the apparel and licensing front, what things can we do to keep the brand aspirational to a wider audience so that as people come in, maybe on other brands or other pre-owned other brands, they're looking at the Indian product line as an aspirational brand.
Can you talk a little bit about the deal you made with Vance and Hines to bring them over managing the King of the Baggers team, how you got them away from Harley Davidson? I wonder if maybe your past relationships and ties there played a role in that.
Yeah, so I'm excited about the relationship with Vance Hines Motorsports. I'm excited because, right from wrong or indifferent, I have a 28-year history with that company. Why I love King of the Bagger Racing. I like racing overall. I think it's great because it brings technology, it brings, product innovation, it brings brand, it brings it all together. We did a multi-year agreement with Vance and Hines. I'm excited by that. I think also somebody asked me the question earlier, Dan, it might have been you about PE, right? And so a PE firm that's looking to dice and slice a company up doesn't do a multi-year agreement with Vance Hines Motorsports. So that's just a proof point of how these guys are looking long term. And my move with Vance and Hines was not a negative to S&S. S&S is a great performance aftermarket company. I respect them. They're a great partner of ours. Will continue to be a partner of ours going forward. To me, it was more about my relationship with Vance and Hines, 28 years. We have literally cried at the racetrack together. We have fought at the racetrack together, and we have celebrated the racetrack together.
Any specific models in honor of the 125th anniversary coming, or anything related to 125th anniversary? We're very proud of the history over here in Sweden. Obviously, Oscar Hedström was a proud and renowned Swedish developer and engineer and racer.
Yeah, my answer is stay tuned.
One last one to kind of wrap it up here. Look, the industry, the whole market has obviously said that they do not care about electric motorcycles, and letting other competition burn giant vaults full of money to find that out, I think was proven that way. But in my neighborhood, we have kids everywhere on these electric bikes. I bought the EFTR Hooligan, which was actually a press loaner that I subsequently bought out because I loved it so much. And then that Christmas bought my daughter an EFTR Junior. She still rips around on that. And to this day, anytime a press Indian bike shows up in the garage, she associates her bike with that bike. Is there any plans? I've seen that it looks like the partnership with Super 73 and Razor maybe is gone. I don't see those products listed on the website anymore, but is there any intention on trying to build that brand loyalty in the youth with those products that are selling like hotcakes in pretty much every neighborhood across America?
Dan, way to call out the biggest wave that should be coming to our industry. I love that. And I agree with you 100%. I think no matter where you live now, it used to be in certain spots, no matter where you live now, I mean, there's kids everywhere on these two-wheel electric powered bicycles, which is giving them an early experience on the freedom, that motorcycle gives, typically a 16, 17, 18-year-old human being. So I think it's fantastic. I think it's a great outlook for our sport. Now I think companies like us and others need to figure out how do we help people go from that point to the bigger bikes. And Jonathan might jump on right now and say, "See, Mike, that's why you need a smaller Indian physical motorcycle." But I think the examples of 73 and other partnerships that have done are great brand plays that can help with that. But I just think as a total, this is a fantastic, phenomenal wave coming our way of new riders to our sport. And I'm excited by it.
I don't know. Let me know in the comments down below. What do you guys think? I was pretty floored by that conversation today. With that being said, thank you guys very much for tuning in. If this is your first time tuning in, please hit that subscribe button down below. Remember, likes go a long way to help support the channel. I will see you guys next time.